Hello, today I'm going to speak to you about the Wild Geese and their single malt Irish whiskey. As you can imagine, it's an Irish whiskey. And unlike a lot of other Irish whiskies, it is not a blend, it's a single malt, as it says on the front. The Wild Geese are an interesting distillery. They have won quite a lot of awards. I don't know what it is that they're doing exactly, but they seem to bring a slightly different approach. This one seems to have gained a fair few awards at lots of different events you may have heard of, such as World Whisky Awards and various things like that. So, what's the big deal then? Why is it so well commended? Well, if I could say in a nutshell, it is very distinctive. It's about £50. I would give it 3.5 out of 5. And it does some things that you would not expect. Like, it combines all this kind of the smoothness you'd expect from an Irish whiskey, but it also has some pretty strange flavors on the palate and on the tongue. And it's so different from many of the other single malts I've tried up to this point that I find it hard to kind of like find another reference point to compare it with. It might be an acquired taste. So I'll give you a little bit of info about the tasting notes. So if you look at the whiskey, kind of generic color there, slightly more on the light than dark side. No age statement, so we don't really know how old it is. I wouldn't hazard a guess. The nose is quite subtle. In fact, it's very subtle. You have to stick your nose right into the glass to get something out of it. And then you get a bit of honey and a sort of a menthol note, you know, like a kind of a medicinal, herbal thing going on there. But when you put it on the palate, that's when it gets very interesting. Very interesting indeed. You get the honey and sweetness that you could smell before after a little bit of effort, but then you get this unlit tobacco thing and like a big whack of papaya. You ever eaten a papaya before? A pawpaw? A type of tropical fruit with an almost, you know what, it's like a savory, sweet, salty kind of taste. It's very, very memorable, and you know it. Once you've tried it, you know it. And so it kind of tickles the whiskey itself tickles the side of your tongue, the front and side of your tongue, almost leaving the middle entirely intact. It's one of the most distinctive things I've ever drunk in my entire life, and at this point I'm still not really sure if I like it or not. It's almost too distinctive. It might grow on me, I don't know. And as for the finish, you get quite a reasonable kind of, I suppose, period of time where you're left with that, again, that papaya and menthol thing on your tongue. These linger for quite a while, so the finish is quite nice and long. But, you know, for a £50 whiskey, it should be, really. A little note on the packaging. The bottle, very interesting. It's like bulletproof glass, this thing. Kill somebody with this. Not too keen on the exterior packaging. It's kind of like I said, I'm not even sure what this material is. It's ridged. It's a bit of a gaudy colour, but each to their own. The whole Wild Geese backstory is, in a nutshell, I'd probably tell it slightly wrong, but the Wild Geese were thought to be the return spirits of the Irish settlers and soldiers who had left the country and then died elsewhere, and they supposedly returned in the form of wild geese, which is quite a nice metaphor. So overall, I would say this is a good whiskey. This is an incredibly distinctive whiskey. It's one that you'll drink and you'll be like, yep, that was memorable. You must get a taster before you buy it, because I think it might be like a Marmite whiskey. You'll either love it or hate it. I don't neither love it nor hate it. I'm kind of sort of liking it and possibly having it grow on me, but yeah, get a taster because it's a pretty unusual thing. I would recommend it to anyone who thinks they're jaded about whiskey tastes, because this will be quite different from anything you've tried before. All in all, very impressive. For £50, not sure if I go for it again, but once I've drunk this much more, maybe I'll have a better opinion on if I like it or not. But all in all, yeah, pretty good stuff, and I would definitely recommend you try it if you're a whiskey fan. Probably would not give it to a whiskey newbie, but I would give it to someone who is an Irish whiskey drinker and just see how surprised they are. So all in all, good stuff, and yeah, give it a go, man. It's definitely worth it. Thank you, Wild Geese.